Hello my friends. While doing this series, I've already done the first video that I did, which was about picking your species, and you might wonder why I didn't mention to you, do your research. You could get overwhelmed going through all the different species of snakes. I guess you could say to yourself, well, I like this one and this one and this one, and you could look up and check out what they need, what they're like, and all of that stuff that you want to know about that particular species. But I didn't want to start it off with do the research. I wanted you to really think about the snake that you really wanted to have in your life and focus in on that particular species and go from there. So hence why I did not mention doing research in the step one, the beginning of. So this time around, I truly do want you to do your research on that particular species. It is so important, even though ultimately in the end you will learn more once you've got that particular snake home and all about them and what they like and don't like and what you see them doing, and then you will adjust things to go with that particular trait that they have. Meaning some like to climb, some don't, though I believe you should always offer all the different variety of things and then make the adjustments as you see what it is that they are doing and they're not actually doing. So in saying that, do your research, because it is important to know what that particular species is like by the book and what a book is telling you for temperatures, the humidity that they like. And I would say temperature and humidity are the two most important things that you really need to know. Although when it comes to temperature, you might find your snake might be up a little or down a little in that, but you'll figure that out as well. So I'm not making this video too long. I am going to have Oscar come out, so I'm going to take you over while Oscar comes out, because he is wanting to come out, and later on, further on down the line, I will discuss with you that freedom of choice as well, which will become kind of the priority in the end with your snake. But in the meantime, let's go see Oscar. Okay, so let's get this boy thinking about, he was at his door and he's probably thinking, look, I've been at the door for ages. He's in a little bit of the food mode because he only ate a couple of nights ago, but once he realizes that it's actually me and I'm not actually food, he will venture on out more, and I'll get him up over onto the snake tree. Now Oscar is a coastal carpet python. He is now almost coming up to 3 years of age. So Yeah, he's getting on in his years. Well, not really. He's still quite young actually. But start a journal. I want you to buy a journal and have that ready to go before you get your snake home, because it's a great place to write up things that you are noticing, that you're seeing, that your little one is doing. And it's always so interesting to go back. You know, yes, right in there, on the day that they went to the toilet, the first time you noticed them climb, or the first time you noticed them come out of their hide for the first time, because that can be exciting, because you sort of know your snake is starting to settle down and get to know you, which is why I like you to keep a journal, because it is also memories of your snake and what they're doing. You don't have to write in it every day, but when you notice things that are happening, definitely, or things are changing, things they're doing that they didn't do before. Maybe they're starting to poke their little head out of a hide and take a look at you. Depending on the species, you might decide a ball python is right up your alley. Docile, easygoing, but a lot of them are shy. A lot of them are not. So you might have a boa, very food orientated, but when they're smaller, of course, but so are carpet pythons, but they grow out of it, they become adults, and they become your best friend, as will, I'm hoping, of course, this little chap may do. Even though I would consider him to be, quite okay with me now, he doesn't like his tail being touched, and that's about the only time I can say he's probably not my best friend. So you've decided on the species. I've told you to do your research. That is important, because then you know what you're doing. Now, we've come a long way with the care of our snakes and what they require. And that is, of course, what type of heat you're going to offer them. And these days, for me, I am highly recommending the deep heat lamps for your snakes. I am also going to recommend, in conjunction with that, you supply a basking light for them, and to also have UVB, because that we are starting to realise is also very important. I think he's smelling a mayor's shed there. Hey, a fresh shed is hanging. Sorry for changing the subject. So think about those three things that they're going to need. And I would like you to start off on the right foot and have all those things that they need. So the next important thing, besides the heating that you provide for your snake and the basking and the UVB, is of course your thermostats, because you need them to regulate the heat. So you will know, if you've done your research, at what temperature you need to set your thermostats at. Now, there's such a variety of thermostats. I hope to put some pictures in of the different kinds that you can get, so you can get your start stop basically, and they would be used for heat mats, which I haven't mentioned, but certainly some snakes really do like belly heat, and a lot of ball pythons are actually kept on belly heat, though I don't keep any of my snakes on belly heat at all. They all enjoy having heat from above. At least that's what I've found with most of mine, except maybe my Antaresia would be quite happy with the old belly heat, but they have basking heat and they do use it. So I wish Oscar would come more out, because if he did, I could get him over onto the snake tree. Well, sorry, I haven't got him in view. But I'm going to need 2 hands, so of course I will be back. Okay, so he's now out on the snake tree, which, you know, again, this is something that you can do yourself, and I will talk a little bit more about that in other videos. But I just want you to think about the heating sources and what you're going to need, because you can use heat cords. They are still quite good to use, and I will be thinking about using them myself for my snakes to get some belly heat. That's, you know, all up to you. You can give a baby carpet python, I think is okay to give belly heat to, but you know, it's what enclosure you're going to put them in. Now, are you going to go for a tub to begin with when you bring them home? If so, then I will ask you to still put some climbing things in there for your snake to climb on. Something to hide in. A tub is not a hide, so you will need to have a tub big enough to put a hide in, and even possibly another hide so that they will thermal regulate. But if you decide to put them into a glass enclosure, and a big one that is going to last them for quite some time, you can do that too, but just cover in the sides of the enclosures. You can put them in their permanent one, the one they're going to stay in for virtually the rest of their life. But what that means is you're providing ample cover, plenty of places for them to hide. They really do need that if you're going to put them in their permanent enclosure. So, you know, I would be more than happy for people to put their young, brand new snake that they're bringing home into the biggest enclosure that they decide they're going to want to have for their snake. Because if you set it up properly, they will be perfectly happy in it. I don't like this angle. They will be, oh, you're a clever boy. Like, I know you're trying to get up there and take off, but I'm not going to let you. They will be quite happy to go in to an enclosure this size, but be aware of any holes that you make. Make sure you mesh over them so that they can't get out, especially Antaresia. Like, they can squeeze through the gap between the glass. They're like incredible they are at being able to squish themselves out. So be aware of that if you decide to put them in their permanent home. So I could keep going and going and going, because there is more to say on this subject in terms of the things that you will need inside your enclosure besides that heating, because you will need lighting, which will be pretty much their basking light or their UVB light. At night they don't need lighting at all, so everything should pretty much be turned off. But if you've done your research in terms of their care, you will know that. And look up, all the various basking lights, all the various, the deep heat lamps. They vary in cost from different places. So, have a look around. You don't have to break out your wallet and empty it out, but you might, because I'm telling you, it isn't like bringing a dog home and giving them and having a bag of biscuits and a couple of toys to play with. It's a whole lot more for homing your snake. So as much as I would love to throw more into this particular video, I won't. I will do part 2 of step 2, but of course there will always be a snake in it, because that is what it's all about. Coastals, yes, he's going to be a big boy, and he may not be big, but coastals are one of our biggest species here in Australia. So as you can see, he's quite little at this particular point in his life, but yeah, he's not going to stay that way at all, and that's okay. I'm going to have to get him a bigger enclosure, of course, and I hope to show you the style of enclosure I'm going to do and take you along on that journey. I will tell you a little bit more about setting up and the things you can use straight away for your snake, that I know that even as little ones, they are really, really going to love. So until the next episode, I guess you could say, in the series of beginners and how it all begins and what to do and how to do and why. I haven't, explained the purpose of UVB, but we all know what sun does. We all know what vitamin it provides to us. It's no different for your snake. It also helps with their health. They are less likely to suffer with respiratory infections and so on. So I recommend the UVB, and don't skimp on it. Do a little bit more extensive research online and look these things up. But I do recommend it. So, from Oscar, I'm not going around that way because the lighting is terrible over that way, but we can go this way. From Oscar and myself, you take care. Ciao.